Johanna and Dan, I wish you a big mazel tov, which you deserve from Mom and I. Also, I'd like to welcome the Godlowskis as part of our mishpacha, which in Yiddish is our family. Johanna, you're a beautiful bride, but more important to me and Mom, you are a beautiful person.
Johanna and Daniel have invited us all here today to share in their declaration of commitment to one another. As their friends and family, we each come with a personal knowledge of who they are, an understanding of where they've been on their life's journeys, with gratitude for the forces that brought them together, and with great hopes for their future. Daniel and Johanna enter into this space freely, joyfully, and on their own terms, bringing with them their full selves and the heritage and values of each of their families. When they leave this time and space of the wedding, they will be a new family unit.
Dan, you are a great person. No doubt you will be a great husband to my daughter. You treat Johanna with such love and respect, which is important to me. What I also appreciate about you, Dan, is your honest tries and understanding and quotes in speaking Yiddish. That is very important.
Marriage is not about finding a person you can live with. It's about finding the person that you can't live without. And I believe that Dan has found that person in Johanna. And welcoming her as a sister now, officially, and being welcomed into her family is one of the greatest things anyone could ever wish for. So I'd like to thank everyone for being here and just have a good time and celebrate with the two of them. Thank you very much.
I give you this ring as a symbol of my love.
You are my beloved, and you are my friend.
You are my beloved, and you are my friend.
With this ring, I join my life with yours.
With this ring, I join my life with yours.
I give you this ring as a symbol of my love.
You are my beloved, and you are my friend.
You are my beloved, and you are my friend.
With this ring, I join my life with yours.
With this ring, I join my life with yours.
Johanna, woven into your wedding gown is a piece of the gown that Mom and I wore on her wedding day. It was put in your gown. And I only wish you the blessings and good faith and good hope that Mom and I had, because we love each other. Also, the piece of cloth that I dangled in front of you, in front of the huppah, was a piece of your blankie, which I promised you when you were younger because you always carried around, that I will bring it up to the hooper for you, so you never could forget it.
I was dropping Johanna off at her place at Summit one day, probably a few months into them dating, and Dan was either just coming home or coming out to meet her, and I'll never forget the way that Johanna looked when she saw Dan coming towards her. Her eyes lit up, her smile grew so big, and I could just see that giddy little girl inside of her. It was like that little kid getting their puppy, like their first puppy dog. And not to sound too creepy, but I stood there and I watched them for a few seconds, and I just thought to myself, that is the man she's going to marry and be with for the rest of her life. There was no doubt in my mind from that moment on. And I only wished at that moment that everybody could have the same look and love for their significant other that I saw between them that day.
Before Dan and Johanna met, Dan was outside walking his dog where he saw Johanna walking her dog. Dan said, "Wow, who is that? She's gorgeous." Well, that's all nice and all, but that's when the stalking started. After that, Dan would take his dog out for a walk and look for Johanna. If he didn't see her, he would keep walking and walking and walking until he finally saw her. A couple years later, Dan and Johanna were walking on the beaches of Margate, and Dan had tripped over a seashell. Johanna picked up the seashell and found a little note stuffed inside it. She read the note and then looked at Dan, who was on one knee holding the ring. In case you didn't know, she said yes.
We've had so many incredible memories and experiences together, and I'm so lucky to have her in my life as a friend. She has a wonderful heart, a fantastic sense of humor, and she makes one hell of a Bacardian diet. And I'm so thankful that my best friend has found her Superman in Dan. Separately, they're both wonderful people, but together, they're amazing. And they have the kind of love that people wish for and hope for their whole lives. And I just hope that you guys promise me that you'll never stop holding hands.
Dan lived above Johanna in the apartment, and they were always great together. Best friends. She's always been a great friend to me. Dan's been one of the best brothers. You just look at him and you smile. And you look at Johanna and you smile. So when you look at the both of them, you just can't stop smiling. Yeah, it took me a while to figure that out.
I have a present for you, from somebody who is madly in love with you, Johanna. Your grandma. She told me if she's not at the wedding, to make sure that I give you a present and you share it with Dan. So I brought this present with me today to make sure that you have it. So I have it with me, right here. A Milky Way. Grandma loved you to the sky, and we could never forget such a very, very important person in our lives. But from the bottom of our heart, my heart, and from Mom's heart, I wish you a mazel tov. And Dan, I wish you all the best. You deserve it.
A true marriage and true love is never about you. It's about the person that you love. Their wants, their needs, their hopes, and their dreams. Selfishness demands, what's in it for me? While love asks, what can I give? Love in marriage isn't for you, it's for others. And we are truly blessed to be a part of your love and your marriage. Congratulations.
Ketubah is an ancient Jewish marriage contract. Originally, it was between the groom and the bride's father, designed to protect the bride's assets should the marriage come to an end. But today, this ketubah is a joint document declaring the commitments of these people to one another and to marriage itself. By attending a wedding, we all become witnesses to the extraordinary commitment made by the couple. Johanna's brother Anthony and Daniel's father Thomas will act as your representatives and will sign the document. As Johanna and Daniel's closest people, you are all part of their ketubah, part of their union, and it is your responsibility to bear witness to their promises and to help them keep them on the road of life together. Johanna and Daniel have chosen to give their vows in the form of letters they've written to one another, which I will read so they can cry. From Johanna to Daniel. Many people don't know this about me, but as a little girl, I could not imagine a perfect wedding and husband. I didn't put a pillowcase over my hair as an imaginary veil, and I didn't put a ring pop on my finger as an imaginary diamond. But did anybody actually do that? In fact, as I grew older, I referred to marriage as if I get married, as opposed to when. But all of that instantly changed when I met you. Dan has an unbelievable way of making people feel comfortable, and we quickly became friends. Friendship turned to chemistry, and before I knew it, I was in love. You are, without a doubt, my soulmate and the love of my life. You make me the happiest I've ever been. You often say that I am your rock. Well, if that's the case, you help me to fly. You bring light not only to my life, to everyone around you, and I admire that. You are so smart, generous, chivalrous, not to mention handsome. You truly bring out the very best in me, and I'm so grateful for that. Your smile can light up a room, even on the darkest day. I feel like I've known you forever, and at the same time, it still feels like the excitement at the beginning. My life is easier having met you. I can't wait to grow old with you. I love you. Daniel to Johanna. It all started in September 2009. It started as us being neighbors. You were on the first floor and I was on the third floor. I remember calling you hot neighbor. It started in our kitchen, swayed by the midsons, finally asking for your name. It started with me walking Gracie on long walks, so that I would just happen by chance to run into you. It started with you asking me to come to your birthday party. It started downstairs in your apartment, sushi Bacardi and diet. It started with our first New Year's party in your apartment. It started with our first kiss. And our first I love you. No matter how much we wanted to be only friends, both you and I knew that could never be. We were always meant to be more than that. Johanna, all that I am, all that I have, I promise to you. I promise to love you. You are my mouse, my pocket-sized meerkat, my small. Even though I call you my small, you're the biggest part of my life. You have been by my side through everything, and I promise to be by yours. I promise to keep our marriage sacred and to be faithful to you alone. I promise to support you in all life decisions. I promise to never take our love for granted and to always honor it. I promise to tell you that I love you every day. I promise to commit my life to you. I promise to give you my all. This I promise you.
If you know Dan the way I know Dan, and how much of a Superman fan that he is. And even if you don't have Superman's powers, Dan, we can still pretend. If Johanna gets a cold, you can run to the store faster than a speeding bullet to get her a hot bowl of chicken noodle soup. If she gets cold at night, you can use your laser vision to warm her up. If you guys are overwhelmed, just need to get away, you can fly her to anywhere in the world she wants to go. You also have X-ray vision, and I think we all know what you're going to do with that. If she ever feels down, you can use your superhuman strength to lift her back up. And the ability to turn back time, your favorite one. It's not. You're never going to need to use it because your lives are already perfect. I love you guys. Congratulations. Church.
Atá Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei Peri Hagafen.